Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well, and welcome to, depending on wherever you may live or however you choose to read your clock, this early morning, middle of the night bonus upload. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click that bell icon. And folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, folks, they definitely matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into this early morning or middle of the night bonus upload, shall we? So for this early morning or middle of the night bonus upload, I was thinking about what I would want to hear while I decide to go to sleep too. And I was like, you know what? I really miss Victor. I just miss him talking. I miss his experiences. I miss his hunts. And I was like, I haven't heard the Florida hunt in a long time. And it was one of my favorites. Actually, they're all my favorite, to be honest with you. But this one was just so unique and terrifying at the same sense. So I figured that's what we'll do. Let's get into it. Right now, guys, I'm going to give you Victor. Victor, how are you today?
Hey, I'm doing well today after some rest.
You sound a heck of a lot better.
Well, thank you.
So, like we said, and we had been talking, you've got the incident report, and yep. This way you can go exactly how everything was instead of right off your memory, being completely exhausted coming back from a hunt and a couple-hour helicopter ride. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna read this off of the report and not leave out any of the facts, get it all in order, and maybe it'll make more sense to people this way. This was, like I said before, it was Malel Swamp Wildlife Area, Lafayette County, Florida. We'd flown into Branford and left Branford, Florida, and it's about an hour drive to the west to get to the Malel Swamp. And where we got to was the actual place was off of a road known as Gunner Road, and there's you turn right on a gas line road. It's not paved, it's just, where they dig in the gas line. It's got a gas return at the end of it, and it's like a cul-de-sac. It's got a big turnaround area, and that's where these groups of people was at. First group of people that was there was Henry, Eugene, and Frank Seisman. His three brothers. His age 33, Henry being the oldest, Eugene the middle at 52, and Frank 30. They arrived on December the 26th. Next to arrive was Bob and Mag Hammond. Bob being 67, Mag 66. they had been coming to this location for 10 years and didn't think that anybody would be there. Their daughter, Kim, and her husband, Mike, and their last name being Taylor, was the other two that was going to be in the party. Kim was 31, Mike was 33. Bob and Mag arrived on the 27th, late afternoon, and Kim and Mike was to arrive on December the 31st at midday. And Kim and Mike had been coming there 4 years with their Kim's mom and dad. The first night, when the brothers was there by themselves, they heard strange noises. The first night was something breathing, walking close to their tent. They never seen or found any tracks. So there was nothing that happened other than the breathing and the sounds of something stepping. The second night was uneventful. And then on the third night, Bob and Mag came in, find somebody else there, and was surprised because they had never seen anybody else, even in this place. So after they got pulled in with their big camper in the trailer, they started talking to the boys and laughing, cutting up. They all, having fun and warning each other. They, like a meet and greet. And later on in the evening, they all just built one big fire, talked and was carrying on and conversation, and the boys broke out some guitars and played music. They all went to bed around 10:30. The boys was in the tent, and the camper was about 75 yards away. About 2 a.m., Bob and Mag was awoke with the camper shaking violently. Start with, Bob thought it was the brothers shaking it, messing with him. And he hollered, "Okay, y'all, you got us good." And it stopped with no response. And then something started just to push the trailer toward the cliff. At the edge of the cul-de-sac was a deep drop-off, and that's where they had parked the camper. And it was being pushed towards that deep drop-off. Well, Mag started screaming and Bob started hollering. It woke up the boys, and they were screaming, "We're coming, we're coming." By the time they got to the trailer, there was nothing that they could see. They didn't know what had happened. When Bob and Mag got out, Bob told them that the trailer was being pushed, and he pointed to where the tires used to be and where they was now. And you could clearly see that the trailer had been pushed back towards the cliff, like something was trying to push it off. So the rest of the night, they all just set up, which it was, getting towards morning anyway. And next morning, everybody, kind of broke out some guns and everything and did some target practice. And so this was the day of the 28th. And the boys shared with Bob and Mag what happened to them. And they decided just to change the way the camp was set up, tighten it up for sleeping and for safety purposes. Well, and Kim and Mike wasn't going to arrive till the 31st, and Bob had to travel on the tent, so they decided to go ahead and set up the tent, get it all set up. But when they moved the truck and the trailer, they put it on the other side of the cul-de-sac against the large bank moved the boys' tents to the front of where the truck was, about 10 foot from the passenger's door of the truck. And they set the other tent at about 10 foot from the back door of the camper. And the fire in the center of the two tents, about 20 foot from the camper. Well, nothing happened on the 28th, 29th, or the 30th. It's all uneventful days. But on the morning of the 31st, everyone wakes up to do breakfast together, and the small tent is ripped to pieces. It's almost an hour drive one way to Branford. Two of the boys volunteered to go get a tent. But Bob and Eugene are the two that ended up going to get a tent. They end up at a mom and pop sporting goods store. That's all they could find at the time. While Bob's looking at tents, Eugene's a gun collector, and he's looking at rifles and purchased a M1917 Sporter, 30-06 Springfield. Bob asked why he was buying that, and he explained he didn't think that the pistols would do the trick. That's what he said to him. So Bob then purchased a cheap Mossberg M in 30-06 Springfield, and they split the cost on 500 rounds of 30-06 Army issue ammunition. By the time they had arrived back to the camp, Mike and Tim had arrived, and it's like 12:15 p.m. And the ladies were cooking on the grills, and the men set off putting up the other, wearing sidearms at this time. Mike's brought along a .308 Winchester rifle that he uses for deer hunting, and about 40 rounds of ammunition. And then they're talking over where the camper had been pushed, and was looking around for prints, still looking for prints and things. And all the boys and Bob were up there looking where the trailer was sitting, and Mike, he's down 30 or 40 feet away from there, looking, trying to find tracks, and does, but he doesn't recognize them. So he calls the others over, but no one knows what the tracks are. And while they're looking at them, discussing them, the ladies holler for them to come eat, and then go up there to eat, and then they forget about the tracks. They all have some fireworks that they're going to set off that night. And then it starts to rain, sprinkle, and it mists, rain. And it quits, and everybody comes out of the tents and everything. And it's about 6 o'clock when they come out of the tents, and they decide to start cooking supper and decide to set the fireworks off about 10:30. Set them off. They are all around the fire when Mag brings up the point that there is no noise coming from the swamp. No crickets, no loons, no nothing. So everyone just stopped and listened. There was nothing. And this made everybody uneasy. So everyone strapped on pistols. Mike came out with his hunting rifle, set up a target about 35 yards away, and hang a Coleman lantern above it so he could see clearly sighted in. Then Bob and Eugene got theirs out of the car and did follow suit and shot at the target and got it to where they felt good shooting them. All the men and women were at the tailgate of the truck when they all heard the same thing, the screech. When they all turned, they all seen the same thing. Something running through the brush, holding the lantern, then throw it high in the air and scream again like it had been burnt. They watched the lantern land and burst in flames. And whatever it was, continue on, hollering as it went. Henry and Mike went to retrieve it and did. Once they got back, each person decided to go ahead and light their fireworks for their displays. And then it's a list of each one who went first and all, Kim, Frank, and each one in the order that they lit and the time that they got done with their fireworks display. So everyone enjoyed the fireworks. And it's now time, it was 1:23 on the 1st of January 2002. Still dead quiet after all the noise had been made, but no one seems to be worried about it anymore. So off to bed they all go. 4:40 a.m. The small tin is bumped into on Kim's side, and once again is ripped, and they will either have to sleep in the camper or in the tent with the guys or their car. So the next morning, after they spend the rest of the night next to the fire and keeping guard, telling everyone the next morning what had happened, Kim and Mag make the drive to Branford and call up the owner of the store from a card given to Bob by the owner, who meets Kim and Mag and outfit them with another tent and asks what is happening to the tents. And Mag tells him as much as she knows. The owner digs a little deeper and asks where this is taking place, and Mag tells him the exact location, and he warns them they need to leave, as he knows right where they are staying. Said that the land was cursed, and this was coming from a white man. Several gas crew workers were killed while staying at this site over a period of 6 weeks. 9 men went missing in the swamp, and all kinds of crazy things happened. Mag was someone you couldn't rattle, but on the drive back told Kim this is their last year coming to this location. While they were gone, the men were tightening up security by pulling the truck closer to the brothers' tent and making a new pad for Mike and Kim's tent. When they arrived back, Mag took Bob into the trailer at once, and Kim shared with Mike and the brothers what the owner told them. With night coming, everyone had ate early, everyone was carrying a sidearm, and the 3 rifles had them out. So they had decided to stand watch in 2-hour shifts. First shift, 10 p.m. to 12 a.m., one person. 12 a.m. to 2 p.m., 2 people. 12 a.m. to 4 a.m., 2 people. 4 a.m. to 6 a.m., 2 people. And most of them was up by 6 a.m. every morning so far. So they broke out the cards to see who was gonna be in what location. And the single person was Mag. She drawed for the single person. She wasn't scared. She said it wouldn't hurt her one bit. And then it was Henry and Mike and Eugene and Kim and Bobby and Frank. And nothing happened. So on the second, which is the day everyone is talking about a day to leave on, and it's decided to leave midday on the 4th. On the 2nd, everyone decides to hike one of the many available trails, so they all use the same trail, thinking safety in numbers. And it was just over 6 miles round trip. So they all left together and returned together around 3 p.m. Was going to lay down until 6 p.m. and prepare their final supper together. Supper and the evening went off uneventful, and everyone still, tired from their hike, decided not to post cards, saying the man from the town was just trying to scare them, and only one that opposed to this was Mag. She said he was not trying to scare them, but to warn them. But finally, she gave in to her daughter's wishes. So off to bed everyone went. Just around 10 p.m. on the nose, Bob later said. But it wasn't going to be a quiet night for anyone in this camp again. They had all gotten used to Henry's snoring because of how loud he snored. He had started, and everyone seemed, he had started, and everything seemed to be quiet and dark. And Mag was looking out of the trailer windows and thought she was seeing movement at the edge of the firelight. And they just put her off and said it was an overactive imagination at work. Mag just could not shake that feeling that her eyes was not playing tricks on her, and her unease kept her awake. That and Henry's snoring going on. Finally, her age was catching up to her, and she, looking out the window, was not producing any more figures. And one last look at the clock, 2:12, and she was off to sleep. Shortly thereafter, the stream started to the east of the camp. It had even woke up Henry, one of his brothers. He and Mark were the first two out of the tents, and then Kim and the rest of the brothers, and then Mag and Bob. No one said anything as their screams came closer and closer. You could tell they were, whatever was making the screams was just beyond the light. Now everyone huddled under the awning on the camper, whispering what to do. So after a couple of minutes, they decided to move forward, guns ready, and 3 of the 7 would shoot blindly into the darkness and see what this produced. This was Mag's idea. So Kim, Mag, and Frank are to empty their sidearms toward where the springs are coming from. And if any charge them, the guys with the rifles could knock them down early. And if anything got through, Henry, being the best with the sidearm, could get them at close range. Eugene stated in 2016, the last time this report was updated, that the howling was so intense it seemed to all be centered in one place. As they moved forward towards the house, it started to quieten and turn to a bone-chilling growl that he still has nightmares about today. They all stopped when this happened and let loose a small arms fire, not knowing if they were hitting anything or not. They are all stopped now, and silence is all around them. No movement, anything. Everyone is looking, but nothing. And Nag laughs out loud and said, "See, I told you so." So they all turn but Kim and start to walk to the trailer. But Kim spotted what we thought was an eyeball that was either shot out of the socket, or when they was fighting among themselves on the ground, was knocked out, and she seen color and started moving toward it. Exactly what happened next is almost a blur. The Dogman came from every direction, taking out each person. Bob lost both legs, but lived. Mag suffered scrapes and bruises, but was never right in her mind again. Bob lost his right arm below the elbow and his right ear and his hearing. Kim, all that was found was her insults, only death at the time of the attack. Henry was a big man, which helped save him. 70+ staples in his right rib cage area. Eugene has had 16 facial surgeries since the time of this. Has to eat through a feeding tube, plus no longer can speak. Frank had multiple broken bones, bruises, and scrapes. The observation that was made was that the men with the long guns suffered more severe injuries than those without. On the forest, the locals, a local group, 2 men found the scene and made the call early that morning. As for the hunt, it's pretty simple. 3 men were dispatched to the scene. Colonel Dorsett was in charge. Agent Johnson, gunner, myself, second in command if something happened, and Agent Cagle, rookie, and this was to be his first hunt. When we arrived, it was the 5th of January, 10 a.m., when we drove to Blandford to the scene, and after the initial chit-chat, I was sent to talk with the families and the brothers. And this is where all this information came from, was the 2 of the brothers. No one ever, after these injuries, after they healed, chose to make a statement. So by the time I arrived back to the scene on the 6th, the vehicles were gone. The place looked like no one had ever even been there. The deputy opened his trunk, and 2 Florida Highway patrols walked up as I was putting my pack on and asked if I could, how I would find my partners, and I told him I would track him. He laughed and said, "In a swamp?" I said, "Yes. I'd be on their trail before I get out of sight or 10 minutes. I know for a fact that they're both here yesterday," and he said that he watched them leave, and I said, "Well, you could help me out, tell me which direction they went or headed." He said, "Well, if you can track them, you can track them." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "I got 20 says you can't find their track." And I said, "Well, I'll take that." And I handed him my 20. I told him just to hold on with that. I said, case I'm wrong. And I started to walk away, and I started to walk around the cul-de-sac like area down there. After about, I don't know, 40 yards or so, I dropped off, and I found the colonel's footprints. And I was on it, you know, so it was easy. And as soon as I done that and started up the next little rise there where he could see me and I could see him, you know, within holler distance, I started into the swamp. I heard the trooper say, "That son of a bitch." And I hollered back to him not to spend my money because I know he knowed I'd on the trail then. The nightfall, I called up to him. And Colonel and Agent Cagle, and one look told me that they had already made contact when I looked at Cagle. The Colonel told him to go ahead and go to bed now. That I was there, he was safe to sleep. After a matter of just minutes, he was sound asleep, and the Colonel told me what had happened. It was Cagle's first hunt, and his responsibility to make the kills unless totally outnumbered. And I was just along for the ride. But he was glad I was there. This was coming from the Colonel. Anyway, he went on. He was doing a good job, actually. Called a sign on the walking trail, and he was on it like a coon dog. Then he got into some black water, waist deep, and he started questioning his training and preparedness. Colonel replied back to him that he was ready, or he wouldn't be where he was at right now. He was asking about the bubbles they seen moving a couple of times off to the sides of them. The Colonel, not knowing for sure, gave an honest answer and said it was probably an alligator or snapping turtles. And Cagle said he felt relieved knowing this. The Colonel just shook his head and smiled to himself, thinking, about 7 foot behind Cagle, maybe 2 foot off center and on Cagle's left shoulder, when Cagle pointed slowly to the shoreline, meaning immediate danger. What did he see? There was bubbles 5 feet in front of Cagle, but now Cagle's full attention was on the shore, pointing and twisting his fist back and forth towards the shoreline. But the Colonel was more focused on the bubbles straight in front of Cagle, 5 feet from him. The Colonel realized he was going to have no shot when he started to say something to him. It started to raise up out of the water, and he heard the water dripping and hitting the water next to him. And he slowly turned and raised his head and looked into the eyes of about a 8-foot Dogman, and he froze dead in his shoe. And the only thing that saved him was the Colonel let loose a volley from his .308 and ended Dogman. And what he had seen was a much smaller one that was drawing his attention off to the side. After the Colonel had shot, he seen it running away with a much larger male fleeing from the scene. But he was unable to pursue on account of the shape Cagle was in. So he decided on a plan of action that night. He decided to get Cagle to dry land and wait on me. After we got there, we drew cards to see who would get Cagle out the next morning, and the other would pursue the other two with the hunt. I lost the draw, a 9 to a jack, so the colonel was to continue the hunt, and I was to take Cagle out. The next morning, Cagle wanted to continue. He wanted to go back to where the mid-sized Dogman was killed. He wanted to see it. Just as we arrived to it, he throws up his fist. He's on point. He holds it up with one finger. I'm in the rear. Colonel's in center, so I take left. Colonel takes right. We see him raise his rifle, and pow, one shot. And the little one is dead. He has killed the monster. We start to move. The colonel gives me orders to take him to a pre-planned destination A, and then give it back to Agent Cagle. When we arrived, it was right on the walking path, and after maybe 7 minutes, a group of church-going folks came down the trail as fast as they could for their age. And when asked if something was wrong, wanted to know who to report a monster to. After they told Cagle their stories, which took about 45 minutes, the way they came from, and the colonel, Cagle sent the colonel to the southeast, and Cagle went to the southwest, and I was sent the way the people came from, which is the way I didn't want to go. I headed off in a yard to get to the point where they had seen it and reached it in about 20 minutes. So not that far, really. And they used into the water and headed to the northeast. Screaming and shouting ensued from the northeast. So I went in behind some heavy overhang and positioned myself and sat down, not moving, just wait, like I was hunting a deer. Sure enough, soon I heard breaking of branches, not fast, calculated steps, like something was very carefully coming my way. Then I seen a leg, knee down. Then I seen a whole leg. Then it stepped out. 9 foot plus. I took out my .308, stuck it through the foliage, let go with 3 rounds from my .308, and ended the big one. That ended the hunt. We came out, drove back to Blandford, and flew home to Virginia.
Wow. That was one hell of a hunt right there. I really want everyone to understand that Victor was reading this verbatim from the report. If you guys didn't catch that in the beginning. So that it's more or less doesn't sound like a story. It's verbatim from a report.
Yes.
When you saw that 9-foot Dogman, I mean, what was going through your head at that moment?
At that time, that was the biggest one I had ever seen. I was shaking. I was still a young agent at that point.
Okay.
You know, this was just a couple of years after my werewolf hunt that I had. And so, you know, I still wasn't up to snuff on everything.
You were still a little bit of wet behind the ears, but not really. You were dry behind one, wet behind the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when the Colonel and Cagle were in the swamp, and that Dogman came from below the water, that's like a tactical maneuver, more or less, showing that these things are very tactical. They're methodical in their ways. Is that something that you've ever encountered since? Is Dogman in water?
Yes, I've seen them in water.
Now,
I have seen them in water. I haven't seen them. I haven't seen them underwater. I haven't seen them underwater. I've seen them in water.
Okay.
But it shows that they was drawing attention. It drawed his attention off to the side, and that thing was either swimming up to him underneath or was able to hold its breath till it nearly walked up on him or till it ran out of breath. It was going to come across him right there, or I don't know. I'm not certain on that.
So these things, not only can they run fast, bipedally or quadruped, they climb trees like nobody's business, and they can swim. How good of, as a rank, how would you rank them as swimming? I mean, like, do they swim like a normal dog?
They dog paddle.
They do dog paddle. Okay, so it's almost like seeing like a golden retriever in the river.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, they're probably a little faster on account of the size of their hands.
Right. Yeah, but they're definitely not like a Olympic swimmer.
They're not. No, they're not like a human stretching out swimming. No.
Okay. All right. Now, the Kim, when her last visual was that eyeball, and then all hell broke loose. The way you're describing it, all I'm thinking is all of a sudden Dogman came from every direction. Whatever hit her high and low almost, it seems like, and just pretty much right out of her shoes and gone.
Yeah, she was killed instantly. Whatever. You know, there was stomach, bladder. Let me tell you, there was a stomach, bowels, and on.
Now, one thing that kind of, I'm glad that you were able to go off the report, because this happened, and then you guys did a follow-up. Like in 2016, you had spoken to them. Now, is that a normal thing that happens? Is that a normal routine that, like, if I had an encounter today, in 5 years or X amount of time, would someone come back and speak with me about this? Is that something that normally happens?
Not since they started the 90 race.
Okay. All right.
But this was prior to. This was actually about 13 months prior before they started that. It started in February of the following year.
Okay. Alrighty. There's something else that I wanted to just on that encounter. So
now, I have followed up with other people to, just talk to them and see if they remembered anything.
Right. Okay. So pretty much this land had been, this is like, kind of haunted by these things for a while. And it seems like it's a good spot for a Dogman to reside. I mean, they obviously took out the gas people. Really quick, why do you think that were you guys notified when the gas attendants got taken out, the pipeline people, or no?
No.
Okay. So that was just handled locally by locals.
All
right.
And they was all written up as missing persons. Nothing as far as a death.
Okay. All right.
So, we don't get involved until it's a death.
All right. Well, we're almost out of time. I don't want to get into anything else like last night and then have to do an abrupt stop. Yeah. Is there anything that you'd like to say today to everybody now that you're definitely a lot more rested up?
Well, I'd just like to apologize to everybody for missing some stuff last night and misrepresenting some stuff last night that I said. It's hard to keep up with all this in my head. I lived it over and over and over and over in my dreams. I mean, every day, every night when I go to bed, I go through maybe 3 or 4 of these hunts just every night. And then have to get up and change my sheets every day that I do get sleep. I'm sweating, getting through it. And if you ever face one of these things, which I pray God you never have to, I just pray God you never have to.
All right, we are definitely out of time. It was great having you coming back. I look forward to talking a little more with you. I know that with everything going on, you're not going to be around as much as before, but periodically, it's really awesome to have you back.
We'll do a Q&A on this if you want to.
That sounds good.
Up to you.
That sounds good. We'll get something together and discuss it on the a little bit after the show here. All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for coming on again.
All right. Thank y'all.
Well, there you have it, folks. This early morning or middle of the night bonus upload. I do hope you all enjoy it as much as I enjoy sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. After all, it is your support that keeps the channel growing and going, and what gives folks like all of us a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free, just simply treated with the respect that we all deserve. Everyone, please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. They are out there and dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Till next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless.